Colleen.
And I'm Chrissy. And
we are the C Sisters. On this episode, we will be talking about debunking a few myths, biblical quotes, and tips we learned along the way. So, Chrissy, what are some of the myths that you remember when you first were diagnosed?
Well, some of the myths that, I was talking to you about was, and I feel like it was a myth for me too, that I would think that if you weren't able to get the tumor out, that you wouldn't be able to survive, or at least not survive very long. But there are many people that are surviving still with their tumor, and their brain has never even had a craniotomy. And they went through like the radiation and the chemo, and they're still surviving and thriving. I have a Facebook friend. I've never met them in person, but they're a real inspiration because they're still going about life and still enjoying life. And I think, I'm not sure how long they've survived now, but I know it's been a couple years, maybe even 3 years. So that's one main one.
I think another one that we were just talking about too was sugar.
Yes, so that's another one. There's so many myths that I've heard, but the one is like sugar causes cancer. I feel like that's false. I feel like if you're just eating sugar all the time, and your diet's poor, obviously you're not exercising stuff that could cause weight gain. And then, as we all know, weight gain or being overweight is not healthy in general. But sugar alone is not going to cause cancer. I was just reading something about that this morning, that there's never been an actual like randomized research study that's actually proven that sugar has any indication of causing cancer at all.
Right.
I believe that, you can eat things in moderation. Of course, you shouldn't be always eating sugar, but our bodies can't, any diabetic knows your body can't go without glucose. Like, you need glucose to survive.
Right.
The cells need that. So, but that's one.
And if that was the case, then you have a lot of diabetics having more cancer then too, because of having the injections, depending on the type of diabetes they have.
Yeah, because their body is not able to produce insulin to carry that glucose and use it. So then the glucose, of course, increases, and then, they make their sugars high. But every diabetic is not does not have cancer.
Right.
And every vegan or, maybe a person who eliminated sugar from their diet, they can still get cancer.
Right.
So I feel like cancer is not I feel like it can happen to anybody.
Well, that's the other thing that I've heard recently, that I've found out in regards to genetic testing and stuff like that with all the study and research they're doing, they're actually finding now that everybody in their DNA has what's called a dormant cancer cell. And so it just depends on our lifestyle and stuff like that, because I had cancer running in my family. So I did the genetic testing, and I don't have any of the markers that they said. And then when I got breast cancer, they did it again because they couldn't believe how far my breast cancer had went, and that cancer ran in my family, why this was going on. And when they did it, because they have 13 new markers that they can search for, they were like, yours is genetic. And that was weird to me. I was like, how do you find out if it's genetic or environmental? I mean, mine was environmental. But how do you find that? And I was like, and if you know that it's environmental, why is this not more publicized?
Exactly. Yeah.
Because not just knowing that everybody has a dormant cancer cell, that it just depends on the right mixture of stuff happening in your life that it gets triggered. Like with my skin cancer, it got triggered because of my chemo brought out that cancer cell. And I didn't know that until after the fact. And that's why I was going through, like I talk about my checklist after, was because of that and finding that out. And also like finding out that after I had cancer, I'm more conscious on what I eat. And they're like, oh, well, you got to be careful and don't eat things that have antibiotics in it. And I'm like, then why are they selling it?
Yeah, exactly. Like, I feel like you'd have to live in a bubble to avoid having cancer, or we'd have to live in the perfect world, like in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
I know I don't know, there's contaminant in our food.
I
Weed
think that they
killer.
realized many years ago that they didn't realize what they were using at the time could affect the environment and the people like later on. And I think now people are being a little more environmentally conscious, I mean, but they're still not pushing. Like, there's a lot of things that we accept in the United States that they don't accept in Europe for ingredients.
You're right. I've looked into that before, and I'm like, that is amazing. Yeah, they can't, like, there's all kind, and I don't know the specifics of what ingredients, but there's all kinds of ingredients that, yeah, we're allowed to have over here, but they're not allowed to have over in other countries.
Well, like my deodorant, like I didn't know that after I got lymph nodes removed from under my armpit and stuff like that, they said, oh yeah, and by the way, make sure you get deodorant that doesn't have metals in it. I'm like, why is there metals in deodorant to begin with?
Yeah, I have no idea.
I mean, I thought these were common sense questions that people were asked, but I guess when you're trying to push a product, sometimes they don't care how it'll affect you more than what that bottom line is.
Mm-hmm.
And I think these days we need to worry more about that bottom line, especially for our kids' future.
Yeah, I think you're right. And I think sometimes it can be the opposite way, like where you're so afraid. Like, I know some people don't even want to get like x-rays done because they're so afraid that they're going to be subjected to that. Because, radiation can cause cancer.
Right.
So they're so afraid of that they're like going to not get x-rays or not going to get, maybe on their teeth and that's a lot of preventative. You need to get that done in order to prevent other things from happening.
And they also forget that you're still getting some form of radiation from solar flares that happen off of the sun anyways.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you'd have to get, I've read it one time, but you'd have to get like a ton of x-rays in order to like get, for it to be like, to cause cancer or whatever. But
well, and our thing too, another thing to debunk about cancer and with us having surgeries is that you'll never heal. Your body is such an amazing thing on how it heals. And I mean, even my plastic surgeon was just like, I've never seen anybody heal the way that you did.
Yeah, I think you're right. And like even with the brain, if you have some sort of loss of, movement or something like that, you can get therapy and it, you may not regain like 100%, but you can, you can get like, you can increase your mobility.
Yeah, and they need to stop talking about how the new normal. You're going to have to get used to the new normal and stop making it so scary. A new normal might not be something scary. My new normal was completely different than what I lived before, but I feel like it is more an awakening of your inner strength going through this. You never realize. It's kind of like my dad always used to say. I know I keep on saying this every episode of my dad's little sayings, but he would always say, you never know what you're capable of going through until you're going through it. And you look back and you're like, wow, I just went through that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and sometimes you don't even realize when you're going through it how difficult it is because you're trying to do the best you can. You're just trying to survive. You're also looking ahead.
But I think we both can agree upon is when people talk about, oh, you look so strong. I'm like, I didn't know I had another option. This is a survival thing.
Yeah.
You have to have a mindset of like, I'm going to do this and God's got my back. Or you just give up. I mean, what kind of life is that, giving up?
Yeah, you either have two. Yeah, I agree with that wholeheartedly. You have two choices. You're going to try or you're not. Like, and then, yeah, that's exactly how I feel. And I made the decision that I was not going to sit there and just give up.
Right.
And waste away what life I had left. Because when I was first diagnosed, I honestly, I didn't know how long I would survive. I didn't know if,
well, that's another myth.
Yeah.
Debunking the percentages, because these days the percentages do not match. It is definitely an individual thing for people, and a lot of it has to do with your mindset.
Yeah, I feel like it is very individualized, and for treatment options and everything, like, meals or the supplements you do, it's all individualized. I don't think there is one main course of actions that,
like, one size fits all kind of thing.
No, I don't think at all. And even for breast cancer, it's probably not. I know for brain cancer, it's not, because I feel like you just have to. And what I did is I pray about it and go with my gut feelings, and so far it's working out.
Well, and listening to God for answers. You gotta, I think part of what we're going through right now, a lot of it has to do with patience and being still.
Listening.
And you got to be still to listen, and you got to have patience, because it is always on His time, and it might not be the answer in the way that you thought.
Yeah.
But you do always get an answer. But I think that's also another myth that we need to debunk too, is you are not in this alone. There is an army out there. You just need to find it. And you don't necessarily need to know everything, but you get, plugged into those Facebook groups. Find the group that works for you, or the support group in your local community, or in your church. Church was a big thing for me. They helped me through all of my treatments, and they helped me move in the middle of my treatments and surgery. And they were there for my kids and my husband, and there with cards and gifts. And, I never asked for any of that. It was very sweet, but it was amazing seeing God's hand in each one of those times. Like, didn't you get a card from somebody when you needed to hear it?
Yeah, I should have brought it with me to read it, but it was from one of my students. Sorry, I'm going to try not to get choked up about it. But anyway, she probably heard me say it. It was like, what I want to do, what I'm most asking God for, because we can ask Him for things. He may say yes, He may say no. He may say just wait. But I was like, I just want to live to see a grandbaby. Like, I just want, because I've always dreamed about, like, as mothers, you dream about seeing your kids get married and walking your, my daughters, I have two, down the aisle, and then being there for them through their relationships, and then being there for when they become moms. And I'm like, and she wrote in the card, she's like, I know God has a purpose for you, and you will see grandbabies one day. That's not her specific words, but it meant so much to me, and little things like that. Like, and then I have this other woman I work with, and she sends me cards all the time, like even now, like probably every month or every other month. And it means so much, but I don't really have the words to express how much it means. It gets you through a day. It might get you through the month. Yeah, it means a lot.
It does. And even now, getting them even now, just little moments in time where I'm having a really bad day, and one of my girlfriends I've grown up with, who is, recovering, drug addict and alcoholic, she's had a rough life. She really has. And she has just been a warrior. She's got 2 kids, and she came to visit. We had so much fun reconnecting. And so we're continuing our relationship to build back that friendship that we had, because we were so close. And she actually sent me a song, and it reminded me of a time back in high school with her, and just a funny moment. And I just started giggling and laughing when I heard it. And I was just like, thank you. Like, I really needed that. I needed that laugh. I needed that moment of lightheartedness, because I was taking life a little too seriously.
Yeah, I feel like everybody can, but I try to take I try not to be too serious. Like, I'm not a real serious person, not all the time. And sometimes I'm sarcastic or I make jokes about myself, and because I feel like that's the way I cope with things. I just make jokes about it.
Yeah, I definitely look at things differently too. Not so seriously anymore. And I keep on remembering, I'm like, is this really going to matter 5 years from now?
Yeah, I used to take things really seriously. Like, I used to get more upset about things. You know, if someone broke something or spilled something, I would be like, I'd have to clean it up now. Or I'd just be so annoyed. And now I'm just like, whatever. Yesterday, the dog knocked over a plant or whatever. I have these plants in my house in the kitchen on the window seals because they can't be outside. They have to be inside right now.
Oh, yeah, because it's cold.
It's still cold out. Even for down here, it's cold out.
Yeah.
But he knocked it over. He it's one of the, I don't even know what kind of plant it is, but it's a vine or whatever. He knocked it over, probably grabbed the vine and knocked it over. The dirt's still there. It's still on the floor. I saw it this morning and I'm like, oh yeah, I should have cleaned that up, but whatever. I didn't even get angry when I did it. I was like, oh well, it's just a plant, just dirt.
Right.
I'll deal with that later.
Yep, exactly.
So yeah, you learn not to take things as serious, and I don't know, just enjoy life more and smile more and be more happy.
I definitely try to make as many memories as I can now and be more present in the moments. A big thing we do when Bill is actually home is we always eat dinner together, and we have the no electronics rule at the dinner table. And then we ask about each other's day. Even if we were so mad at each other, we didn't even want to talk to each other. I was like, all right, this is probably why I have an upset stomach after dinner. But you know what? Hey, I'm getting them all to communicate with each other, to talk. And it's amazing how you really can get to know your kids that way and find out stuff you never even thought.
Yeah.
Like JR, he loves playing games online and helping people, program games online. And I'm like, okay, so you like helping people? And he goes, yeah, but I always make sure to, put God in there when I can. And I'm like, wow, he is taking something that people all think is for evil. And he's like, all right, you want to use it for evil? I'm going to show you good through it. I was like, that's my kids.
That's awesome. Yeah, to use everything. I feel like God can be included in everything.
He can.
Even at the grocery store or, my last MRI, there was a guy that takes you back. He's the tech or whatever, radiology tech. And he was taking me back and he's like, sorry to ruin your day. And I was like, well, you're not ruining my day. I said, absolutely not. I said, I don't have a bad day. I said, you're not going to ruin my day. I said, and he was like, oh, you must drink a lot, like alcohol, he was meaning. And I was like, no. I said, it's God. It's all God that does that for me. And then, so I was able to like kind of
incorporate
God, maybe change his mindset. I said, no, I'm not always happy. I said, but to make sure, like, if I'm having a bad day, God gets me through. And he was kind of like, yeah. And like, I feel like I see him a lot. So next time I'll be like, oh, or, I'll bring something up about it. It'll give me a chance to maybe talk to him. Because I don't, I don't know if he's a believer or not.
You found an opportunity to be a disciple.
Yeah.
In that.
So, yeah, you can reach God through anything, anywhere. And cancer has given me more of an opportunity to do that. Like, I would have never, felt like I had the opportunity to talk to people about, like, why I was happy or why, like, I don't know. I didn't think of how to include God in my everyday conversations. But now it's a lot easier.
Yeah. I mean, through my experience, it's been kind of crazy, sitting down for those 5 hours for chemo treatments next to one other person. And, during COVID, I have to wear a mask unless I'm drinking something. So, okay. And I'm trying to read the Bible, but I have double vision. So I put my AirPods in, and then I look over and the woman next to me is just, you can tell she's having bad day. And so I was just take my AirPods out and I was like, hi, how are you? You know, did you have to drive far? You know, I put myself out there, and it was different, but I was like, wow, God's giving me so many different opportunities that I'd never even realized before. Yep. To talk with nurses and doctors. And I mean, even my doctor, you know, he was just like, I'm looking at these results and the only thing I can explain is it's a miracle, an absolute miracle. And I was just like, well, I can't, but God can.
Mm-hmm. I think that's another, as we're talking about debunking myths, I think when people think of cancer patients, I think I was guilty of this too, because I didn't know anybody really in my family that really went through cancer. Like, not that I can think of. My one family member, my dad's cousin or whatever, she had pancreatic cancer. So I didn't really see her go through it because she passed away very quickly. And I wasn't really close with her. But watching movies and like hearing about, like, you just picture cancer patients to be like sad, depressed, like almost on like death's door, like looking.
Yeah, movies don't do cancer patients justice.
No, they
all
don't,
the time.
and it's not really realistic either.
No.
So I feel like, and I'm sure everybody like does not look the same, and that's what it doesn't. Cancer doesn't treat every patient the same. So maybe there are some people like that, you know, look more sickly, but like there's people that look full of life, smiling, happy. So I feel like that's a myth.
That absolutely. That definitely, but I also think that's also a mindset.
Yeah.
Some days you do have to fake it. You do have to fake that smile. You do have to fake that upbeatness, because I do believe that positive behavior and, you know, positive energy, you know, creates positive results. What you put out in the world does come back to you in one way or another. God will give you opportunities to fix a situation that you might have broke before, or just look at it from a different way and have a different approach.
Yeah, I agree with that. I went to a support group. I missed it this last Sunday, but through another church. But I went the week before, and there was a new person that came, and he was talking about how I forget what kind of cancer he had. I think he had colon cancer, but he was reading a lot about like your emotions, and that it was found. This girl did a bunch of research. She took all these. She took long-term survivors from it had stage 4 cancer, and she looked at all of them to see what the not coincidence, but the familiar,
what the patterns were.
Yes, what the patterns were, and she looked at everything, and what some of the patterns were that they had faith. That was one of them. The other one was like they exercised, you know, they were like healthy before they were diagnosed. And the other one was that they all had resolved like their emotional trials or whatever.
They had a resolution to
Yes, and they asked, they were like resolved issues with people in their family or friends or whatever, and sought for, anyway, it had a lot to do with forgiveness.
Right.
Because when we harbor that bitterness inside of us and we don't forgive, that can cause a lot of emotional
It eats
problems.
at your soul.
Yes, yeah. And that's, like, I thought it was really interesting.
Well, also another one is that I was surprised about was animals and how they can cheer people up in the worst case scenarios. Because like they had 2 dogs that walked around when I was doing chemo, and one of them was near Easter, and it was a greyhound, and he had bunny ears on. It was the cutest thing in the world, and oh my gosh, I just wanted to love on him forever. But I'm like, wow, that like really does cheer people up, having that interaction. And horses are the same way. They help kids with special needs too. I've seen it firsthand on how a nonverbal person, just starts being with a horse and they completely understand each other. And you see that beautiful magic that God creates.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a bond definitely between animals and humans.
Mm-hmm. My dog wouldn't leave my side through all of my treatment. I would be lying in bed and she would not go out. Like I would physically have to get up for her to go outside to go do her business to come back in because she would not leave my side.
Aww.
And what was funny is I had the Neulasta, which is the injection on your arm. So it like sticks to your arm and then it does the little click and it puts the needle in to put the tube in. And then it sits there blinking for 8 hours before it finally administers in 45 minutes the medicine, and then all of a sudden it will blink red. Well, my cat, that's giving a cat a laser pointer. He is just like looking at it and he's trying to whack it off of me and he's hissing at it. And I was like, I don't like it either, buddy, but it's supposed to help me. But yeah, it's moments like that I really needed. And like the animals realized and they were there. So I really feel that if people are feeling alone and they don't feel like they can talk to anybody, getting an animal definitely helps.
Yeah, I definitely talk to my animals.
Oh yeah, I talk to them all the time. And actually sometimes mine talks back. Although I think he might be swearing in cat language at me. I don't know. He's an orange cat, so they said that they're the meanest, but...
Mine just does head tilts. Yeah. But I totally think they understand what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm like, what I'm talking about.
Well, they definitely know when, like, if you start crying, because they'll immediately, like, come over, put their head on you. Yeah. Or try to lick your face. Or my cat will just try to whack my face and be like, cut it out.
Yeah, I've been crying in the past, and my old dog, we had to put him down, but he when I was upset one time, like he literally like put his whole body on top of me, like because I feel like he was feeling my pain. He knew I was like upset, so yeah, I feel like animals they're special.
Yeah, God created them, so God's using them for a purpose too.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
I definitely think that helps. Now, do you? I have some tips to tell people in regards to what helped me. One of them I shared with you was the coconut oil on my head. It helped with my hair growth and helped during that time to keep the hair growing. So that was one of my tips I would always tell people about. But if you do put coconut oil on your head and you do go outside, you might want to put something over it so you don't burn your skin because it's still oil. It'd be like that when we put lemon juice in our hair to get like the sun at it to get highlights back in the day. Not to date myself or anything.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I've done that too.
Right. I think another thing that was a good tip for me was even if you don't need to take your anti-nausea medicine, to take it exactly the time frames for the first 3 days after your chemo treatments, because they said it was surprising that I never threw up or got severely nauseous. And it was because I did that regimen. And actually, it was Lisa Godwin, my daughter's kindergarten teacher at the time. She's the one that told me that because it was passed down to her. So I feel like also being a survivor, you kind of have a responsibility to pass forward, stuff that has worked.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, to help others.
Absolutely. Because I don't feel like it's told enough. Like for me, Miss Jennifer from our church, I call her my church mama. She had chicken with rice and chicken broth. And it was like one of the only things besides fruit that I could eat during the time to keep on the weight. Because that's the other thing.
Mm-hmm.
Most people lose weight going through chemo treatments and cancer treatments. And I was gaining weight.
Yeah, that's
I'm like, how is this possible? Okay. This makes no sense.
Chicken and rice.
Chicken and rice. I'm like, well, I'm in the South. Okay. Getting
It's
used
kind
to
of like
it.
just being pregnant. Like, I know people suffer with like nausea and vomiting. My one cousin, she ate pancakes. That's the only thing she could eat. And so it was like pancakes all the time. So yeah, you're right. You just have to find
what's for you. And that in regards to diet during the treatments and after treatments. And then I also had to be careful of during treatments, I couldn't have a lot of things with antioxidants in it. So like blueberries and stuff like that. But now they're like blackberries, blueberries, strawberries, raspberries, mango, pineapple, all very good to boost your immune system. And I'm like, really? Okay. And I've done it. And I was like, wow, there's been a bunch of people getting sick around me and I have been fine.
You know what I do every time I hear someone's getting sick or they're getting a cold? I eat an orange.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, orange is like, I feel like I'll go get, we don't carry, like, we don't have orange juice in our house a lot, but I'll go out and get some orange juice and I just like drink it.
See, I actually do the was it cutesy seedless oranges?
Yeah, I love those.
I eat one a day. So I do that. My kids, they're having massive growth spurts right now. So I've explained to my son who has a lot of headaches, I'm like, you need to eat your banana. You need the potassium. Your body's craving it. Did you know that like he is maybe a half an inch shorter than me now? He's only 13.
Wait till he's taller than you.
He's going to be taller than me. He's going to be taller than Bill. I mean, my brother's just 6'5", 6'6", and 6'7". So they're not short by any means. But, you know, when you have like a 6'5" dad and a 5'3.5" mom, you know, you figure you're going to be happy in between. No, my kid is following my dad's suit. Definitely.
Yeah,
I mean, Bill's side of the family is tall too, but yeah.
And how old is he? You said 14?
13.
13, okay. Yeah, I bet he'll
to be 5'7" at 13.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I don't know how tall my son was below me, and then he just I don't even know how tall he is now, but he's tall.
Well, that and his voice is totally changing now. Like he came back from church camp over the summer. He had his normal kid voice. He came back and he's like, "Hey, Mom." I'm like, "Oh my, what did you do to my kid?"
Yeah,
you know, I sent him away as a boy, and he comes back a man. It's so true.
It is. And then my son went through that for like a year, like where his voice was up and down, up and down, up and down, and then it's finally getting deeper. I feel like it was deep, and then it's gotten even deeper.
Well, you hear how deep Bill's voice is. I'm like, is it gonna get that deep?
Probably,
because that's pretty deep.
Yeah.
Also, let's see. I had during my treatments when I was stuck in bed, I was actually, catching up on different series that I liked, and I noticed that I started watching more comedies because I needed something to laugh because I lost my voice, so I couldn't talk. So you hear me laughing, and all you hear is air coming out of my mouth, like no sound, just like a dog. I'm like, if anybody walked in on me right now, they might pee themselves laughing. Seriously. But yeah, I mean, I figured out what I could do in between. So I have an 8-year-old daughter, and all she wants to do is, "Mommy, let's paint nails. Mommy, play with dolls," this and that. I'm like, I can't get up. I can't do it. I said, all right, well, you know what? We're going to do a spa day. We're going to lie back here and we're going to put face masks on and we're going to watch Moana. And she's like, okay, Mommy.
Yeah, she probably loved that.
Oh, she does. She is Moana. Every time I take her to the beach, no matter where she is, she calls the ocean like Moana. And I'm telling you, she could be like 10 feet in and it doesn't go in anywhere. And as soon as she walks right in front of me and she calls it, it goes right in, and she's always getting wet. Always. There hasn't been a single time that it's happened. And I was like, well, you know what that means, Bill? If she's Moana, you're Maui. And he goes, well, does that make you Mother Nature? And I was like, ha, 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 ha.
Yeah.
Because, with her getting all fiery and everything, he's always like, that's your little Boston girl, getting all fiery Irish girl. That was the funny thing. When my hair grew back too, like I had reddish tinge to it. And now, like, I don't. It is black and silver.
Mm-hmm.
No in between.
So you said when it first came back, it grew out, it was red, had red in it? Or
no,
your original color.
I was expecting it to be like flaming red because my mom's hair was like flaming red.
Mm-hmm.
My dad was like, his hair was like this.
Oh, okay.
It used to be jet black. And then as he got older, he had the gray in it. So when he passed away, it was like this. And that's why I always joke that, my dad died and gave me his hair. Because when it came back, it's exactly thick and a lot of it, and it's black and gray. And I actually can put it in a ponytail now. Look at this.
I know.
Like,
I saw that.
I have a ponytail. I have enough hair to put in a ponytail. I never thought I'd see this moment.
I miss being able to put mine up. I can put it in a claw. Like, I can kind of put it up in the claw, but then, like, the short pieces, like...
Oh, I still have pieces on the side that fall down.
I look like I don't even know, like a lion's mane or something.
Oh, man. No, I love your curls. And actually, you made Harley feel better because with her curls.
I like my curly hair. I always had curly hair my whole life.
Mm-hmm.
I hated it. my whole life, I hated it. Up until I learned how to take care of it.
Mm-hmm.
So when I first started teaching in Ohio, I had a student that told me, "Oh, you have to go get a curly cut at I don't know if it was her sister or sister-in-law's." And I was like, "Oh, okay. I don't know, that sounds odd." But they dry cut it. They like dry cut it and they do it like they cut it different than I've ever I don't know. They taught me how
different, like scissors and everything.
No, they make you flip your head over. They make you flip it to the side and like back.
Oh wow!
And it's dry, so you go in with it like styled how you normally do, and it was like horrible looking. You should see the before and after. It's amazing. I was like, wow, what? My hair looked like it got like a color. Like it looked like it got colored. Like it looked lighter.
Mm-hmm.
But I was like, wow. And you know how you go get your hair styled and you go get it cut, and then they style it, and you're like, you can never get it to look the same. Like after you get home, I don't know if that's ever happened to you, but like. I would always feel like that. I don't know. They would always do something to it, and I'd be like, oh, I'm going to try to do, get it to look and whatever, how they did there. But I can never, but with this, how they taught me, I was like, oh, I can do it on my own. I can do it here.
Well, that's the funny thing is since my hair has grown back, I have not got it cut yet.
I haven't got mine.
And everybody's
cut either.
like, I love the style that you have today. And I was like, it's just the way God decided to do my hair today. Like still have the same hair, still haven't cut it.
Yeah.
My daughter says, you are not cutting it. I want to play with your hair again, Mom. And I was like, okay.
I feel like I've needed to get mine trimmed because it's, when I shaved it or whatever, it was, I don't know. I feel like there's like some piece in the back that's like way longer than other pieces. Like, I don't know if I didn't shave it right or if it grew back in quicker. It's not really like.
Did you put too much coconut oil in that spot?
No, but like, I don't know, but like, yeah, it's like, but when I straighten it, like, you can't tell when it's curly that it's different, but like when I straighten it, which I've only straightened it twice so far, but I'm like, it needs a trim, but I'm going to wait. I'll wait till it grows out. My hair usually grows fast. I feel like it's growing like at a snail's pace, probably because I want it to be longer, but.
I agree. I have the same problem. But I have a question for you in regards to tips. Is there any tips that you can give our listeners in regards to exercise?
Oh, yeah. I would say during my radiation, because I was going to the gym, like 4 or 5 days a week for 2 hours. I've always done, well, not always, but I've been more into calisthenics, which is using your body weight for exercises. So pull-ups, push-ups, handstands. I used to do a bunch of headstands. I haven't done any of those. There's different exercise I would do, like when I was in headstand pose, dips, like anything that you can use your body weight for. But after my first surgery, felt like I needed to take a break or whatever, and I didn't know what I could do or what I couldn't do. So riding bike was something that I could do. I was actually nervous because after brain surgery, you deal with a lot of dizziness, and my equilibrium was off.
My balance was hard. It's still horrible.
Yeah.
I'm still trying to get that back.
And our driveway does, like, it has the smallest slope, like barely any slope. But when I was after my surgery, I felt like I was like walking up a mountain. Like I was like, oh my gosh, this is so steep. It's because my equilibrium was all off. And even climbing upstairs, one of the second floor was like really difficult. And so I always felt like now, even when I go down steps, I'm like, it makes me nervous because I'm afraid I'm going to fall. But anyway, after radiation, my husband, luckily, he works for himself, so he can take time off or do whatever he wants to do, making his own schedule. So after my radiation appointments in the morning, we would go on bike rides. We would go for like either breakfast, and then we would go for a long bike ride. Or, and he doesn't ride bike, but he would do his one wheel. But it actually, you would think it would make me, like, radiation does make you tired and fatigued, and the chemo pill I was taking does cause fatigue, but actually exercising, like, made me feel more energized. And it's just like, when you're sick or like any other day, people who don't have cancer, you feel tired, you don't feel good. But when you get out in the fresh air, you start doing things, you actually feel better about yourself, and you feel...
That's something we can suggest is like, you need to listen to your own body, but you do need to push yourself a little bit in a way, because if you just lie there, it's just going to take you that much longer to get back into the groove of moving. And actually sometimes moving your body actually helps that process. I know, like, the first 3 days after chemo, I couldn't really get out of bed, except to go to the bathroom and come back. But for me, I was just like, all right, if I can't go to if I can only go to the bathroom and back, all right, so I'm going to do that the first day. And the second day, I'm going to go to the couch. And if I can't get back from the couch, I can just lie on the couch. Yeah,
or sit up in a chair for, X amount of minutes. And I feel like it's not going to be this, again, it's not going to be the same for everybody, but it's just like you said, listening to your body, and I knew, like, I could do it. And if I was tired, I could just take a break or whatever, or my husband could come pick me up because I didn't have my electric bike at that time. So I was like pedaling.
Right.
And we would do it like down here. There's no hills or anything. So it's all flat surfaces. And so it was pretty, and it just made it more of a fun experience instead of saying, oh, I have to go to this radiation treatment, I have cancer, I have to get this done, and be depressed about it. I was like, no, I get to go to my appointment and then get to spend time with my husband.
Yeah. Well, and that's why I told you, like, every chemo appointment that I did, I made it like an event, but like in a funny way. So I had a theme to every single one. And I was like, all right, so what are we going to do for this theme? And I included my kids with it. And I was like, I can't make it too like adult humor. Like, it needs to be funny, but funny, haha, not funny adult going too far.
Yeah.
Kind of thing too. But I also found out too that I don't know how you felt, but also giving you those emotional moments to have that breakdown, to just cry for no reason.
I've done that several times, but it was mostly because I was frustrated with trying to get like insurance stuff situated. Because I know when I first wanted to go to Duke, my insurance, I'd held healthcare.gov or whatever insurance. And so my deductible for out of network, they wanted that up front, and it was $17,000. Wow. So I went to UNC first. And God has his perfect timing, because I went there and I did not like the neuro-oncologist there. Because that's what everyone, I think I said last time, everybody that has brain cancer needs not only a neurosurgeon and like a medical oncologist, but you need a neuro-oncologist.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I went to UNC for the neuro-oncology, but she was very negative and very not personal.
Mm-hmm.
And I was asking her about like what clinical, all I did was ask, what clinical trials do you have here? And she was like, well, we have them, but they all failed. They all failed. They all fail. And I'm like, okay. And I just did not feel
Well, that's the funny thing with
comfortable with her.
oncologists. Oncologists are really good at their craft.
Mm-hmm.
And most oncologists that I've met do not have a very good bedside manner.
Yeah, she was awful. I mean, I know she was just trying to be like, I don't know. But anyway, she was not for me. I could tell, like, I don't belong here. I'm like leaving. It was basically a waste of appointment. And then I went to Duke, and the neuro-oncologist there, she actually is like the opposite of the other one. Very, the appointments are very long.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be there for like 4 or 6 hours.
Oh,
Like,
wow.
so it's a long day.
Mm-hmm.
But she's spending time with her patient. She'll sit there and she'll answer every question.
So you feel like you're heard.
Yeah, she draws pictures. She explains everything. She goes into detail. Yeah, she actually like treats you. She doesn't look at you and feel sorry for you or treat you like you're a
Like a number.
Do a what?
Like a number.
Yeah, like a number or like I'm dying.
Mm-hmm.
Like she treats me like I'm a person and she cares about me.
Like you have a partner in your fight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. So,
And that's what people need. They really do.
yeah, if you go somewhere and they like, if I would stay with her or didn't know any better,
Mm-hmm.
she would, I don't know.
And that's just like what you were saying about finding what fits for you. That's another facet to it, finding what fits to you. You really need to find not just what treatment you guys agree upon, because everybody's different. Everybody's treatment's going to be different, but finding that doctor that you feel comfortable with.
Yeah.
Because what could be good for me might not be good for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, you might see it a different way.
And I feel like, too, another like tip that I would say, if they're giving you, like they're saying, oh, you only live this many months or this many years, I would just stay like, or if they only give you so many options, like, oh, you're only going to have this option, then I would steer clear from them.
Yeah. Get a second opinion, get a third opinion.
Yeah, I like a doctor
Trust your gut.
Yeah, trust your gut. Advocate for yourself. Find someone who thinks outside the box, because you can't go with like I said, especially with brain cancer or like glioblastoma, not everybody responds to everything the same way. So you need a doctor that is like thinking about other things and outside the box.
Right.
And so luckily my neurosurgeon, I like love him. He only, and some people have said that, oh, you had they always think I had my surgery at Duke, like my neurosurgeon's up there. And I'm like, no, I had it at the local hospital at Novant in Wilmington. And he is so awesome, but I think he is like the type of surgeon who thinks outside the box. And for me, he always is giving me options. And
well, I think with your type of cancer too, with it not having enough research done on it and enough options yet, you really need somebody like that thinks outside the box.
Yeah, and
because that could be the next thing that somebody sees. You could be helping somebody else too, along the way.
And I think he's done fellowships like at amazing hospitals, one in Texas and one in New York. So he's very skilled. And he is the first one that brought, he did something here with robotics or whatever. But
the Da Vinci machine?
I'm not sure what I watched a whole thing on him because I wasn't sure what neurosurgeon. And, as a nurse, patients ask me, and we can't suggest, as a nurse, I can't suggest like a doctor to a patient.
Right.
Because that would be like, we can't do that. We can say, oh, that's your doctor. Oh, I love him. He's amazing. But we can't like really suggest what they should go with or what they should do. I always tell them, and to other cancer, or, that's going to have surgery, you need to ask like your friends and family, like, what surgeon did you use? Did you like them? Like,
and that's what happened in our church. Like people asked me, who did you use? Because they heard my story, whether it was from the women's conference or just talking after church one day. But Dr. Bebb and Dr. K, I mean, they are amazing. They really are amazing. Even with my post-ops, like they already did my surgery. Like they could already check that box that they already did that and treat me like a number if they wanted to, but they didn't. I mean, even in all of my post-ops, my 1 year and everything, they were just like, so how you doing now? How's the family? You know, it wasn't just always about the cancer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's what I don't like either. It's like, I don't want to just always talk about cancer. Like, and even
cancer
like,
is just a part of our life. It's not our entire life.
No, and I'm not always thinking about cancer either. Like some days I like barely think about it, and I barely even feel like I have it. Some days I told my husband, I'm like, some days I just don't like even feel like I have it because I feel so good. And then like on days you don't feel so good, you're like, oh, okay, I have cancer. Yep, I do. But like, or if you have to go to a doctor's appointment, you're like, yeah, you're reminded with that. But yeah, you don't always want to be identified as a cancer patient.
And be okay that some days you're not going to be okay. And that's okay too.
Yeah.
It really is. I mean, mentally and physically, we all need breaks sometimes. And I've been on such a go that I know a lot of the lessons I'm learning now is to just be still. I want to hear other people's stories. I don't want to just hear mine. I want to hear other people's stories. I want to be that person that can be that listening ear for a person who's having a bad day and just needs to let it out. You know, I've had so many people do that for me. I want to do that for other people. So that was actually, so I got this book. One of these women got this book for me, and it's God's Moments for Women. And it had this section in it that it was actually kind of funny that I just opened it today, and it literally brought me to this one thing, and it says rolling with life. And it says Jeremiah 29:11. I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future. And I was like, wow, that's so true. And then I read this little quote at the bottom, and it's just a quote. It's not a biblical quote like the top part was. The bottom quote, it says, a bend in the road is not the end of the road unless you fail to make the turn. And I was like, that's where I kind of feel me and you are at right now. We're not at the end of the road. We're at the turn.
No, I don't feel at the end of the road.
No.
When I was first diagnosed, I was like, well, you know, and I don't know if we've talked about this before, but I was like, you know, nobody told me I was like terminal, but like GBM is considered the terminator and terminal. And so I was like, well, should I even make plans to do anything like for my future? Like you're stuck in this like mindset, like, should I even plan for like the summer? Or, you know, it was August when I was diagnosed. Like, should I even plan for Christmas? Like, should I even look forward to that? But then I got to a point I was like, well, everybody else is still planning for their future and they could maybe die next week. You know what I mean? So then I was like, I felt like, no, God still wants to use me. And so I should still plan and still be like making plans and still looking forward to the future.
Well, because in the Bible, it also talks that we're not going to know when the end of times are.
No.
You know, nobody knows.
Nope. And
so
I might even, something else might kill me. I might not even die from brain cancer. It might be something else.
Right.
Yeah, you just never know. And nobody knows.
But I do find I have a different perspective now.
Yeah.
That is one thing. I definitely have a different perspective. I look at things a lot differently. And I definitely try to seize every opportunity that I can with a person or a situation. But like recently, I've had to understand that, you know, sometimes you do just have to give it to God and know that you've done all that you can do. And you planted that seed that he wanted you to plant. And it's just not meant for you to see it grow. And I think that has been my new lesson that I've had to learn is letting go.
Yeah, letting go and
giving to God and letting go.
Yeah, like giving up control.
Yeah. When you've had so many people trying to control your life during what we were going through or what we are going through, and then finding your new control that you have.
Yeah, I guess like for
your
me,
new path, I guess I would say.
Yeah. And for me, I know I can control like if I'm make today like good or not. Like, I mean, yeah, something bad may happen, but I still can be like happy. I can be joyous. I can control that. I can control my attitude and like my anger and my patience. I can control all those things, but leave the things that we can't control go. Well,
I did make a New Year's resolution and I've kept it so
what
far.
Was that?
Not to yell.
Oh.
I'm from New England. We do a lot of like yelling when we're talking, but half the time it's not because we're angry. It's because we're so passionate and excited. So my husband, being from Kentucky, you figure after 15 years of marriage, he would finally clue in and know when I'm actually mad and when I'm not. And when I'm yelling and when I'm not. But anytime I talk passionately, even if I'm like, I love you, he was just like, why are you yelling at me? And I'm like, this is not yelling. This is not yelling. I love you. But sometimes, honey, oh, I love you.
Well, that's a hard one. I feel like I used to yell a lot more when my kids were younger, I would say.
Mine are right now. And a true testament to a woman's patience and a mother's patience is having children.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
First test is your husband. Second test is the kids.
Yeah. I didn't used to be very patient with my kids. I'll be honest. I was not patient at all.
Well, what's funny is that some people say that I'm too hard on my kids. And I believe that sometimes they're not hard enough. Mm-hmm. And through this whole experience, I've tried to instill in them, values. Because, JR's 13 now. So he's getting at that age where it's going to be hard to influence, for much longer. Harley's only 8. So I still might have a few more years for her. But it's funny because I can hear him sometimes when he doesn't even know I can hear him. And he's like, you better be careful what you say on here because, my mom will find out she's good like that. And they're just like, oh, how could you deal with a mom like that? And he goes, you don't understand. I can go to my mom, even if I've done something wrong. And yeah, I know I'm going to be punished, but she's always going to be truthful as long as I'm truthful with her. There's 2 things my mom doesn't like. She doesn't like liars because she always finds out. She always finds out. And I always joke because I always like, I told you I had God on my side. If I don't find out, he always knows. So you better be careful. And, but he'll say, but I know that I can always go to her and she'll still comfort me.
Mm-hmm. And that's awesome as a kid to be able to go to your parents.
Yeah, because right now I'm coming to that part in my life where my mom has dementia. My dad's gone. And, my brothers, I love them. And I'm the youngest of 5. But the only one I talk to is my sister. My brothers, I have one that says that is telling people they don't believe I have cancer, ever had cancer. And I have other ones. I mean, they always used to be like, oh, you're the princess. You get everything handed to you. And I was like, no, I didn't. I didn't go to private school, all that. But coming to the realization, I still love my brothers. I do. I can love them from afar. And I can still pray for them. But I don't have to tolerate their toxic behavior either. And I've come to realize with my mom too, that, I love her. Whether she loves me, I guess she loves me in her own little way. She does. She's hurt. She misses my dad. And I know that too. And she knows God. She reads her Bible every morning and does her prayers. But my sister can see she's losing a little bit of herself every day, and it can be very frustrating. And coming to that realization, and I'm just like, all right, well, my kids are watching me do this. I got to show them how to do it right. And trying to learn that forgiveness.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in the time of learning how to forgive and try to do it quickly, like God would want us to do.
And sometimes we have to forgive ourselves too.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like, I feel like now that I have this cancer, I feel like, I don't know, I'm a lot more, I don't want to say in tune, but like I think a lot about, and I know we can't change our past or anything, but I think a lot about, like, I'm sure it's the same for someone that's like, when you get older, when you're nearing, you're 80, 90, whatever, you're nearing the end of your life. You think a lot about like what you've been through, what the choices you made,
what you could have done different.
Yeah, what you could have done different. And like, I know my husband said, you can't change anything, but I still like to think about it and to try to not make those mistakes again, or try not, to change my future behavior or whatever. I feel like it's important to like kind of look back on life. And I don't know about kids and stuff like that. Sometimes I feel like I was too hard on my kids too. But then like I hear my oldest, she's 19, she'll be 20 in December, which is crazy. It just blows my mind. But she actually said, like, I've heard her say, like, I'm glad my parents were strict and hard on me. She's like, I'm so thankful for that. Because I think she's at an age where she knows now, like, we were strict and we had rules and we were hard on you because we love you. We want to see you succeed. I want you to be respectful, say thank you, hold open, just be nice to people, hold open doors and be humble.
It's amazing how many kids these days don't say please or thank you or yes, sir, no, sir, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. My kids do. And I actually had a guy come up to me in an airport, in Boston airport, when I was up visiting my girlfriend for her wedding, and I was coming back with the kids. And of course, it was just me and the kids again, because Bill was active duty then. So we were coming back, and he's like, ma'am, can I ask you a question? Perfect stranger. And I'm like, yeah, because I'm waiting in the Dunkin' Donuts line to get my coffee, because I love coffee, especially Dunkin' Donuts coffee.
I need coffee right now.
I know, right? I don't think I have enough coffee in me right now. But he was like, how did you get your kids to say that? And I just looked at him, and I could totally hear my dad through me. And what I said is like, how could you not?
Yeah. And your kids follow a lot like of how you act and what you do. They see that when they're small, and so they'll start like mimicking your behavior.
Although my husband never opens doors for me, and my son, I catch him doing that for any lady. Oh, and especially like the old ladies come into church too, and you can see them walking up, and you can see them, they're gonna have trouble, and JR will just run up to that door and hold it open for her, and he goes, "Here you go, ma'am." Aww. And I'm just like, I did something right.
Yeah, that's something to be proud of.
Yeah,
but yeah, like I don't. And then I think back, I was like, I don't know, but I think, we have to give her some self grace, because none of us are perfect, and everybody
did you have any
regrets.
Did you have any biblical quotes?
Yeah, I do, but I have them marked here.
While you're looking that up, I wanted to mention that one of the newsletters I just shared with you, called SurvivorNet, is a great source to look up for new trials, new research that's going out there. It link you up to different trials. It's like a finder. You can find new clinical trials and stuff like that too, or what the latest technology that they're using, or the latest studies that have come about. So I wanted to share that with our viewers too, that that's one of the newsletters that I use. I also use BC for breast cancer, is another newsletter. But I found all of these through my groups. They were really beneficial in, hey, do you have any websites that you go to do research? Dana Farber is another good. The Dana Farber Institute's another good one. Just going to their website, or the Mayo Clinic. Just going to their website, finding out.
Yeah. I know for me, I think it's called braintumorcharity.org. I think that's one I've been on before. But yeah,
well, someone told me about a retreat that you can go on as a breast cancer survivor with you and your family. And I started laughing because they're like, oh yeah, it's on Topsail Island. I was like, I live there.
Yeah, I'm already there.
I'm already there. I live it every day, but thank you.
Yeah. But I have a couple here. I won't take too much time, but I really like First Peter. It's like one of my favorite books because, well, of course, as you know, before when I talked about my marriage, I felt like I was suffering. I felt like that was like, a trial in my life where I was suffering, and now cancer. I wouldn't say I'm suffering. I actually think I feel like I'm thriving actually. But First Peter is...
It's probably like a different kind of suffering.
Yeah, I'm learning and... But yeah, First Peter is amazing. If you feel like you're suffering and you feel like there's no hope, or why is this happening to me? I would suggest reading First Peter. I love this though because it explains why we go through faith or go through suffering because it increases our faith. But this is 1 Peter 1, 6. And in all this you greatly rejoice, though now for a little while you may have had to suffer grief in all kinds of trials. All kinds of trials. Not just one, all kinds. These have come so that the proven genuineness of your faith. So basically, I wrote, suffering gives you new hope, a new identity, a new family, and suffering actually is a purifying fire. And so I'm like, it proves your genuineness of your faith because you can either, blame God, you can say me, oh me, why me, or you can say God has given, I'm going through this because I can look towards God and it can increase your faith. And that's what is refined in fire, everything else burns, but our faith will be it comes through the fire. And that's, I don't know. And it also says may result in praise, glory, and honor when Jesus Christ is revealed. But anyway,
I have one that kind of goes along with that.
Do you?
It was Romans 12:12. Be joyful in hope, patient in affliction, faithful in prayer.
Yeah, I love that too. And then in James 1, I think, 1:2, chapter 1, verse 2, consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of many kinds. So we're actually supposed to consider our trials joyful. Because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance, and then let perseverance finish its work so that you may be mature and complete, not lacking anything. And I put, let our circumstances increase our trust in God. And then...
That definitely is a good one.
Yeah, I love that too. And I love the book of James too. It's pretty good.
Yeah, when we did that Bible study with James, it definitely gave me a better understanding of the book of James and see it from a different point of view because of what at the time we were going through. Yeah.
And then I was reading this. I found this in the Old Testament when I was reading through the Bible last year. I haven't been doing so good reading through the Bible. I was going to do it again this year, but I've kind of lost track because I was trying to do too many things. But I'm still going to do it, but it'll take me a little longer. But I love this in Isaiah 65. It's talking about the new heaven and a new earth. And And then it says, like, see, I will create new heavens and new earth. And then I just love this. It says, never, in verse 20, it says, never again will there be in it an infant who lives but a few days, an old man who does not live out his years. The one who dies at 100 will be thought a mere child. The one who fails to reach 100 will be considered a curse. They will build houses and dwell in them. They will plant vineyards and eat their fruit. And that really stood out to me because I think I said last time how, like some of the best days of my life when I was a child was just like being in the garden with my mom and grandma, like just planting and picking. And I don't know why, but like there's something about being in nature and, you know, putting your hands in dirt and then sitting around spending time with your family. But so, yeah, I could see myself if we have jobs in heaven, which I believe we will. Yeah, I think I'll be in the vineyard or be like picking fruit for people, or I don't know, be with the vegetable gardens. But it also says no longer will they build houses and others live in them. So no one will be homeless. Everyone will have a home in heaven. Or plant, others eat. So there won't be any starvation. There won't be, you know, for as the days of a tree, so will be the days of my people. My chosen ones will long enjoy the work of their hands. They will not labor in vain, nor will they bear children doomed to misfortune, for they will be a people blessed by the Lord. They and their descendants with them. Before they call, I will answer. While they are speaking, I will hear. The wolf and the lamb will feed together. The lion will eat straw like the ox. So no longer they won't eat meat anymore. And the dust will be the serpent's food. They will neither harm nor destroy on all my holy mountain. So I don't know. I just love that because it's kind of given a picture of what heaven's.
What we could look forward to.
Yeah, what you can look forward to no matter what. Like, you know, with cancer, you know, not everyone survives. And so you can still have hope in heaven and hope in Jesus, and that this is just a blip in time, this world we live.
Yes.
This life we live, I mean. But yeah, it's just a blip and we're just a mere dust. Like, you know what I mean? So we can have hope and we don't have to fear, you know.
I think that's what we need to keep on reminding ourselves.
Yeah. And I read this. Not
to fear what's to come.
I read something yesterday and I can't even remember where, but it was talking about heaven. Oh, maybe I'm reading this book called, it has to do with about heaven. And it was saying, you know, most people fear the unknown.
Right.
But they were talking about like a dog, like when they're going to a new home or something like that, they don't know what's like beyond the door. They're like wagging their tail and they're excited. And then when the door opens, they like go to their owner or whatever. And I feel like that we can still be excited for heaven, even though we don't know all that's there. We don't know what's all to expect, but
that's why we have to have a relationship and build on that relationship that we have with God. Because the more you build that relationship, I feel the less scary situations seem.
Yeah.
Because you're not supposed to live for this world.
No. And that's what I've been trying to do less too. Like, yeah, I feel like I used to like, not completely, but I used to put more hope into this world. Like, I hope I do this. I hope I'm able to do that. But now I'm like kind of trying to think of heaven, the treasures in heaven that I want to have.
Well, I think that we become a society that's become too complacent. That we're like, oh, you know, yeah, that needs to be done, but they can do it. I don't need to do it. Instead of, no, I'm going to do it. Somebody's got to do it. I'm going to do it. And I think we already took that step doing this. Yeah. Because this is way out of our comfort zone. But it's fun and exciting at the same time. And scary.
Yeah.
We hope people are listening and getting something from this, you know, something of value, something that they can take with them and that they can, you know, pay it forward or pray it forward.
Yeah. Pray it forward. Yeah.
Because this is the year of stepping up and stepping out for me. I know some of the movies that have helped me along the way, like for my marriage, was Fireproof.
That's a good one. Yeah.
That was a good one.
What is the one where she prays in her closet? That's another marriage one.
War Room.
War Room.
One of my favorite.
Yeah.
I keep on going to that quote where she's like, "How is your coffee temperature? Is your prayer life lukewarm? Is it cold? Is it hot?" And I was just like, "Yep, I am lukewarm, and that's not where I want to be." She's right. I never even thought of it that way. But you know what's funny is Courageous, for the men of our faith, that really hit a nerve for my husband. He actually, there's a contract that movie has in Courageous that they sign at the end. That it was actually funny. Well, not funny, haha, but funny that God's timing. That last few minutes was shown at our old church at Tabernacle Baptist Church in New Bern when we lived there. And the pastor asked for the men to get up, you men of courage, and come down and sign this document, signing that you are going to be the man of God at the house and man of faith, and direct these men, these children, these boys up to be men of God. And my husband got up and he signed it. And I have that framed now in my house.
That's awesome.
Because I want people to see it. I haven't put it up yet in my new house because everything is slow and Bill has a tendency to pile up everything in one spot. And since I can only lift 10 pounds right now from surgery, I can't move it yet. But I do plan on putting that somewhere where everybody can see because I was so proud of him at that moment to do that.
It does take courage to stand up in front of people.
So the movie's called Courageous.
I think I've seen it, but that one I can't specifically remember. But
well, there's a new one that came out called Overcomer, about this girl that is a track runner who has asthma. And it's an amazing story of a teenager finding their faith and how God used people in her path along the way. And a good part of it that I loved was when she came into the theater and she told him, "You know, you asked me who I am." And then she goes down this list of who I am. I'm a child of God. I've been saved. I've been forgiven. I am his chosen one. And I'm like listening to her going down this list, and it's stuff that I keep on forgetting that I am. And it was such a good reminder.
Yeah.
So that was a very, very good book and very good movie. But some of these movies actually have Bible studies to them.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Well, I know Fireproof. I think I have the book.
War Room does too.
Okay.
And actually, Matthew West just put out a Bible study called My Story that I want to do. Because I feel like that's kind of how I feel. It's like my story, his glory. And I was like, "Oh, that'd be interesting to do a Bible study about that."
Yeah.
And so it's his latest book that just came out. That's so interesting that I can't wait to see and read. Are there any books that you can think of that really helped you, or movies?
Not movies, really. I don't. No, I don't think any movies. Like,
What about The Chosen? Have you watched The Chosen?
I tried to watch it a couple times and I can't really get into it. I feel like a bad person saying that. Everybody loves the show Chosen. But I tried watching it. I feel like I can't get into it. I don't know why. I don't know. I've tried watching it like 3 times now.
Is it the same episode that you watch?
No, I've watched like multiple episodes and I'm just like,
Is it in the first season?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Try the second season.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't know. And it's not because I don't know what's going on. I think it is hard to know like who's who, like what the names of people are. Like I know who, like it's easy to figure out who
the characters of the story are.
Yeah, I think it's easy to like find out like I don't know, but I'm like it's confusing, and I honestly I hate to say this, but I don't really like the character that plays Jesus. Like I hate saying that, like, but he's almost like too friendly and jolly and nice. Like I guess I don't picture Jesus as. I know he's our friend, and he was like friendly to everybody, but I feel like he was a more stern. Like I feel like he was like a.
So the third season, you definitely see that side of it. I think the first season is more of that side of Jesus. There's so many different facets to Jesus in the Bible that you also have to base it upon the stories that are being told, that he's telling. And as you go further along in the series, you find how his attitude had to change. Because at the beginning, it wasn't like the next day was the Last Supper. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. It was the beginning of the movement.
Yeah.
And what he was doing. But the second and third season, oh yeah, he gets in your face, and it's just like,
yeah, because I've always, and I know I should like, by reading the Bible or like I think other movies too, or I've seen like, the Jesus character. Whatever. It would be really hard to play the Jesus character. I feel like that, like nobody is going to come even close to like, being like the real Jesus. So right. I think I give them props and credit for that.
You gotta imagine what is going through their head.
Yeah. There'd be a lot of pressure.
When they accept that, well, just accepting that, and that sometimes people are so caught up in the movie industry and movies themselves, they forget that these people are different in real life. That how do you address that? Knowing that you're playing this character, and how do you address that when you go out into the public?
Yeah, that would be difficult.
And still stay humble in that situation. And I actually watched the after episodes, and I keep up with them with the YouTube and stuff like that, and the Chosen app. And he talks about that. And I think that makes me value him even more, because he understands the seriousness and the heaviness that can come upon. But it also, he could personally see in that aspect of playing that character what Jesus might have felt like.
Yeah. I think it would be hard either way.
I think it'd be hard on any one of the characters, to be honest, because you want them to be put in such a light that people understand the value that these people had and still do.
Yeah.
I mean, I have problems being myself, there's always going to be people who are going to have a problem with me. And I've come to the terms where their opinion actually does not matter. I don't want to hurt them. I never want to hurt anybody. But if me being me is bothering them, then I can't do anything to fix that.
That's their problem. Yeah.
Well, yeah, that, and I am not apologetic that I'm a Christian and that I love Jesus, and I will be that way, whether you like me or not. And if you do, great. If you don't, okay, that's fine too. You don't have to like everybody. And I tell my kids that you don't have to like everybody. but you do have to be kind.
Mm-hmm.
Whether they're kind to you back or not doesn't matter. But you are a reflection of this family. You're a reflection of me and your father, but you're also a child of God. And this is the way that they want you to be. And I think the hardest times of being kind is in the face of immense adversity. And I've had that happen to me where I had to have that choice. I chose God.
Yeah. That's the best choice. The only choice.
Yeah. So when my kids got baptized and they made that decision, I thought as a mother, I was like, this is the greatest gift my kids could have ever given me. Was they chose God too.
Mm-hmm.
And they accepted Jesus Christ in their heart. And I was like, this is amazing. And so like something that we're doing new. We are actually, it's funny how you say, how do we plan for the future? Because we don't know. And I was just like, well, me and my kids are going to start a bucket list. A bucket list. So last year, I was recovering, so I obviously couldn't walk a whole lot. I had to be humble and get on a scooter to go around Disney World because we decided we were going to go to Disney World the week after 4th of July.
It's probably
hottest time of the year.
I was like, is it busy?
It's the hottest time of the year. But his dad, we wanted to visit his dad for 4th of July. And so we went down there. We drove down there. And then we drove up to Disney World. And it was the least amount of control I've ever had, where I just went along with what we felt. Like we had a list each day of like one thing that we had to do. And that was the first thing that we did. And then we had some stuff after that we'd like to do, but if we didn't, it didn't matter. And we had the best time.
I feel like you're probably like a planner.
I am such a planner.
When you go on vacation, you probably like
I have a checklist of everything we need to
point.
But it's so true.
Like at 8 a.m., we're going here.
Yep.
At 10.
Oh, and my husband, like for being a former Marine, he's going to be late to his own funeral. He really is. And but if it's something for him, he's on time. But if it's something for me, it's okay if we're late. I despise being late for anything. I would rather be 5-10 minutes early than be late.
You're exactly like my husband, and I'm probably like your husband.
Yeah. But this was the time where I let go of the reins. I just went with whatever. And we had the best time. We did not stress. Even when it rained at one point, I was like, this can't last. And it didn't. But here I am going around in a scooter because I can't walk. And I'm like, okay, here's me being humble.
Yeah, you probably had so much more fun because you weren't stressed about all the little...
of walking, but I was trying not to get overheated. My problem was I can't regulate my temperature. So if I was to get overheated, I wouldn't have been able to recover without going to the hospital. So my husband had the cold cloths, and I had drinking tons of water, and I had a hat and sunscreen and tried to stay as cool as possible. And we went back to the hotel halfway through the day to rest and then go back at night. And I mean, it was amazing. It was the best time. We went to Disney World in front of the castle for when they did the fireworks, and Harley got everybody singing the Moana song around her. And like, I got it on video and you can hear my daughter starting to sing the song, and she is getting everybody around her to start singing with her. That by the end, I was just like, I started crying. And my husband's like, what is wrong with you? I'm like, my daughter just had a Disney princess moment.
Yeah.
And guess what? It was free. With all the stuff that you could spend money on there. And then at the last night, craziest thing, but with my children, anything's possible. That's why I call them MacGyver babies. Last night we were there, we're eating ice cream around the lighthouse where we were at. And there is an area where you can play giant chess or giant checkers. What I didn't realize is that people come from all around the world to Disney World and stay at these resorts and stuff like that. And there I see my daughter playing with another little girl. And I'm like, okay, no big deal, but it's time for us to go back. And I hear her saying Jesus, and I hear the girl saying, oh yeah, Jesus. And Harley's like, yeah, Jesus. And she doesn't speak our language. Here she is talking about Jesus to someone from a different country and doesn't speak their language. And somehow they're still talking about Jesus together here at Disney World, at the lighthouse at 10 o'clock at night. It's amazing.
Yeah, kids are amazing in themselves. They're smart.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and my kids keep on surprising me. They are definitely my little MacGyver babies, and there really isn't a dull moment. Ever. If it's not my kids, it's my husband. If it's not my husband, it's my family. If it's not my family, it's my animals, which you've seen. Like my animals, oh my gosh, they are comical.
At least yours is quiet.
Oh, I don't know. Last night, Tigger, oh my gosh, he wanted me to go to bed so bad. And, meow, meow. And I'm like, Tigger, I'm going to go to bed when I want to. I'm an adult. And I'm like, here I am arguing with a cat. I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to go lie down.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, even the cat, it's funny. But it's funny. Okay, so this can give us to our last thing. Were there any checklists that you had after your second surgery that you're like, all right, I need to do this or I need to do this?
Honestly, I was like clueless. I didn't know what I needed to do.
Okay.
I know not really. Like I actually tried to research as much as possible, which again might not be good for everybody to do.
Right.
But no, I didn't really have a checklist. Like,
see, like I did. Like I was like, all right, I need to see the dermatologist. I'm 45, so I need to get a colonoscopy.
See, that was
OBGYN.
Not in my scope. Like, that was not like in my like mind at that time. Like all I could think of was like, no, I have to, get ready. I was just trying to recuperate because I could, barely walk or take care of myself. And then I was thinking about like, really honestly, the insurance thing.
Yeah. The money thing can be really hard on people. I mean, and that's a checklist too. I mean, there are scholarships and there are funds and foundations that can help you pay too.
Yeah. And so I was just trying to get all that figured out. And then I knew I had to have radiation. So how was I going to go back to work?
Well, I mean, that's still a checklist.
And how was I going to get, work around my radiation? Because I had to go Monday through Friday for 6 weeks. And so that was hard. Yeah, just like I guess a mental checklist, but not really. And I know I had my neuro-oncologist at Duke wanted me to get a mammogram. But I was like, that is last on my list at this point. I was like, I just got that like a couple of months ago. And I was, it's been a year and a half at this point. I was like, I'm not worried about that at this point. I'm like, I'm just trying to like process what I'm going through right now. I feel like that was the thing, like just processing all the information and
I think that depends on the cancer too, because with your cancer, it's a different situation than with mine, because mine, I kind of call it the gateway cancer, because from breast cancer, you have to worry about, ovarian, uterine, especially because I'm triple positive, the estrogen positive part.
Yeah. Mine, I was just worried about, I wasn't really worried per se, but like my main focus was on like, am I going to live to see Christmas? Am I still going to be here? Like,
right.
What, like, how should I go about doing this? And I don't know. And for some reason I was like, I'm just going to go back to work. I need to go back to work. Like,
it's the new normal.
Yeah.
You got to find, and it is, some of it is from your past and some of it is going to be of your future, of a new way of doing things and thinking.
And now I'm just trying to live the retired life.
So that actually, okay, so that is a great segue to, discuss that we do have an email, csisters.gathering@gmail.com. So if you have any questions or want us to answer any questions, please email us your thoughts, your questions, comments, all the above. And so next time on the C Sisters, we'll be talking about what a typical day in the life of us looks like. So come hear more on our podcast on Spotify, Apple, and YouTube.
And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.
Don't forget, even in the roughest waves, we know who calms the waters.
We will see you next time on the C Sisters.